are gathered in my name, I'll be with them. Although you are scattered, I'm drawing you back to love you again. So come unto me, my child, and I'll give you peace. Then you will be B'nai Shalom, B'nai Shalom, children of peace, B'nai Shalom. On Yeshua we'll feast, B'nai Shalom, children of peace, B'nai Shalom. Through Yeshua we'll be B'nai Shalom. Love one another as you have seen me love you. My sister, my brother, do as I command you, and come unto me, my child, and I'll give you peace. Then you will be B'nai Shalom, B'nai Shalom, children of peace, B'nai Shalom. On Yeshua we'll feast, B'nai Shalom, children of peace, B'nai Shalom. Through Yeshua we'll be B'nai Shalom, children of peace, B'nai Shalom, children of peace.
Hallelujah. Blessed be the name of Yahweh. And I am currently in a motel room here in Cuba, Missouri. So we are here for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to look for the new moon here locally in the Cuba, Missouri area, which is just north of Steelville. And we did take a good look at it. Looked outside, and I'm sorry to report there was a large bank of clouds right there, nice thick bank of clouds there just above the horizon, meaning that it would be pretty much impossible to see anything if anything was there. And so anyway, that is what we saw here in Cuba, which is just 15 minutes north of Steelville. Steelville is down in very much lower elevation compared to Cuba, and in Steelville, especially the campground, being right by the river, is pretty much not the place to be looking for a new moon. But we tried. We tried here, and we looked, and we had a really good shot as far as being able to see far out to the western sky here, right by the interstate. And we were not able to see anything. And it was another 10 minutes till sundown, but I mean the clouds are so thick, there's not a break in the clouds at all. And so we're not going to see anything here. But that's the news here in Steelville. The report in Ava, Missouri is they've not been able to locate the new moon there. And also, there are others who, if you want to make a report, please do just above the left-hand side of the video screen. Click that link to submit comment or question, and then submit your new moon report there. And then we will confirm that with you, and hopefully find out something. I'm going to go pretty strictly on the local here in Ava. So, or I'm sorry, Ava. The EliYah.com/live page, and then we'll keep everybody abreast as to what's going on regarding new moon reports. As far as various web submitted sightings, I'm not showing anything here. I am keeping track of folks who are texting me as well. And the same cloud bank is blocking the folks down in Ava, Missouri as well from being able to see anything. So that's the news right now, and I'm going to go ahead and check a few other online reports. And in North Carolina, back this plug. All right, I should be back now. Had a little issue there with my internet connection here at the hotel, so looks like their 50 meg upload speed is not as advertised. So I'm now using a hotspot on my cell phone to do our broadcast, and so it should be back online. Hopefully that'll remain consistent for everyone. So anyway, we don't have any confirmed sightings as of right now. Nothing confirmed anywhere. So please do submit your new moon reports through the web submitted form on EliYah.com/live, and the questions and comments section there. Click that just above the left-hand side of the video screen and submit your reports there. And also, I've checked some other locations. Cloudy in Florida, Tampa, Florida, and partly cloudy in Box Springs, Georgia. Just a few clouds in Danbury, North Carolina, and I'm not sure about the clouds in Hampton, Virginia, but we don't have anything confirmed there. And as far as the new moon chart, as far as visibility chart, this is our visibility chart for the new moon. If you're in the light green area, you're going to need to have very, very good atmospheric conditions to be able to see anything. And if you're in the darker green area, you should be able to see it. And both of these are with the unaided eye, means no binoculars, no telescopes, things like that. Don't be trying any of that kind of stuff. So, but that's the moon chart. Again, the light green area, you're going to have very good atmospheric conditions to be able to see anything at all. And that's pretty much where we are here. And then in the darker green area, then you might be able to see it. Southern Texas, all along the southern border there, straddling across Mexico and into Southern California. So that is the moon chart. So if you're in the light green area, then that's probably, it's less likely you're going to be able to see it. I have seen it when it's in the light green area. So it's not out of the question. But you know, the farther north you go and the farther east you go, the less likely you're going to be able to see the new moon tonight. So, and it's only going to be visible for about 45 minutes after sundown, maybe I should say less than an hour. If it's an hour past sundown already, then the new moon is not going to be seen. Okay, it's simple as that. And we just had a little power outage there. Thankfully, I'm on a laptop. But anyway, yeah, connection's still good. So, and looking at other places, we don't have any confirmed sightings as of this moment. In any of the places I normally look for reports, and you can consider me an aggregate. I look at multiple reports across multiple websites and things like that, and nothing has been reported as of yet. It certainly will not be able to be seen in Israel. If you're following the Israel sightings, there's no way they'll ever see the new moon tonight or anytime. So, in fact, if you look on the new moon chart here, you'll see that Israel is pretty much impossible for them to have seen a new moon tonight. So, and this is the legend down below here. Only visible with binoculars or conventional telescopes would be there. We're not going to go by that. So that's our current status for tonight's new moon. So unless someone in this light green area, fairly similar altitude as far as latitude north, and then I can go east and south, but I'm not in due east. I can go due east, but I'm not going to go directly south. I'm not going to accept a new moon report that's anything significantly further south. So because they're far more likely to see it down there. So that's our current stat. I personally believe in a local sighting. And if I was in Israel, living in ancient times, and pretty much all of us are looking at the same sky here, then pretty much what would happen at that point is they would say, well, this particular month is going to have 30 days. And so that's going to push Yom Teruah into the tomorrow night and in the following day. So then the Yom Teruah would be on the 8th and at sundown. So tomorrow night at sundown, and then end at sundown on the 9th. So basically the 9th of what's called September will be considered Yom Teruah, or Feast of Trumpets. And it's kind of neat exercise because we really don't know the day or the hour. And to me, that's just and then the fact that the new moon is shaped like a shofar is kind of a neat thing. And I was talking actually today. We had a pretty neat thing happen to us at the hotel as I came here, and I was trying to figure out whether we'd be able to see the new moon out our window. Because I was hoping that we'd have a window to the east, but this hotel is the only hotel that you're going to be able to see the new moon, and it's not anything that you would see because out the eastern side of the building you're not going to see anything. So so anyway, I come here and we were talking about. I said, as far as the sundown, I was trying to get a hotel room that might be on the one side or the other. I thought maybe on the southern side of the hotel, I'll be more likely to see the new moon out looking out the window if I was going to see it at all. And so I talked to a gentleman here, and it turned out the maintenance man, his name is John, and he says, I keep the feasts. And he was at our Feast of Tabernacles 2 or 3 years ago. And so here he was working at the hotel where I am currently setting up shop here. I find that pretty neat. And so we had a moment of fellowship there as we were talking about the feast and looking for the new moon. He does look for the new moon, and he's been keeping the feast pretty much his adult life. His parents found out they were Church of God Seventh Day, and his parents found out about the feast. and got kicked out of the church. So that's the problem with denominations. Obviously, you can't ever accept anything new, even when it's true. So, but yeah, that was pretty neat. The fact that we had this moment of fellowship right here at the hotel. So that doesn't happen every day, right? But in Missouri, it might. I don't know what it is about Missouri. It's just the Torah observant believer in Yahshua capital, but I think that, and then we had another opportunity actually to witness to the lady at the Welcome Center here in Avis or in Cuba, and so that was a couple of divine appointments here as we went to my son's wedding this past week, and so we were there, and we went out and visited my folks, my parents, and they're doing well. They're not going to be able to make it to the feast this year, but and my brother won't, but it was really good to see them. So, but yeah, so things happen, and we had opportunity to do a little witnessing and to meet up with a brother. So praise Yahweh for that. Still looking for new moon reports. Nothing has come in as of this moment as far as any kind of confirmed sighting. So we're checking multiple locations, and we're also going to go ahead and check our local report here. Let me check this real quick. I'll check any web-submitted comments that may have come through. In just 1 minute, get to the right screen. Okay. It says, very clear in Hot Spring, Arkansas, nothing seen. And if we don't see the new moon tonight, somebody asked, yes, the new moon will be seen tomorrow night. So every one of Yahweh's months have either 29 or 30 days. Tonight is the 29th day. So, or today was the 29th day. And so if the new moon was seen tonight, then the 6th month would have 29 days. And then we go into the 7th month. But if it's not seen on the 29th day, then we know the 30th day will be tomorrow, and therefore the first day of the new month would be starting tomorrow night. So Anonymous says the moon is near the sun, so the moon sets with the sun. If we see the crescent during the day tomorrow, then does the month start at evening or during the day? It will not be possible to see the crescent tomorrow during the day. It's impossible. It's too bright out, and only after the sun goes down will it be visible. So, all right. And Anonymous says there's a typo after submitting comment should have been received. Okay. All right. So nothing has come through our network. Nothing has come through other networks that have been reporting. And so I think we're probably just going to go ahead and go over some 7th month scriptures and see what Yahweh's word has to say, and that'll afford us some more time to determine whether or not any other reports have come in. So, but right now, we don't have any reports in at all, as far as I'm aware. Let me check one more place. And Yeah, nothing has been seen yet. So I think we're just going to go ahead and share a song here from the library. And that'll give us a little bit more time as well. And then we're going to recheck our new moon reports. And if nothing's found, we'll go ahead and start our study portion as we look at the scriptures that speak of the 7th month. Another option would be, well, let's just go ahead and take this option right now. So, praise Yahweh.
My ידידות משכנותיך יהוה צבאות נכספה וגם קלצה נפשי לחצרות יהוה לחצרות יהוה ליבי ובשרי ירננו אל חי אל חי Just one day in your house is better than 1,000 anywhere else. Courts of the one living Elohim. Oh, how my soul it longs and even faints for the courts of the one Yahweh. My heart and my flesh, they cry out for the living Elohim, the living Elohim. How blessed are the ones who dwell in your house. They will still be praising you, still be praising
Blessed be Yahweh. And for those of you who said I had echoing, let me know if it's still happening, and hopefully it isn't. Made a couple of changes to the settings. Regrettably, I can't hear what you're hearing. I can only hear myself. So anyway, I'm trying to decide whether to go ahead and proceed and share the 7th month study I have prepared, or do this tomorrow night. On one hand, we have the advantage of, if I share it tonight, then there'll be more time afforded for us to be able to collect some new moon reports and make some decisions. On the other hand, it's kind of nice to get new moon reports and share them live. But tomorrow night, everyone will be able to see the new moon as long as you have good clear view of the western sky. It'll definitely be seen. So that's the story at the moment. I'm thinking we're going to go ahead and proceed. That way we can go ahead and spend some time collecting more reports. A question came through saying, why is the 7th month the beginning of the new year? It's not. There is a growing season. It's the end of the growing season as we enter the 7th month. But as far as the year, in Exodus chapter 12, Yahweh informs us it says, this month shall be your beginnings of months. So the new year actually is in the spring. Does the Feast of Tabernacles start one day later if we don't see a new moon tonight? If we do not see the new moon tonight, then our festival dates will be September 9th. Now this is also, remember that the evening before is when it starts. If the new moon is not seen tonight, then Yom Teruah, or Feast of Trumpets, will be on the 9th. The Day of Atonement will be on the 18th. And then the two festival dates for Feast of Tabernacles will be on the 23rd and on the 30th. Again, evening before, sundown before those dates, but that will be our dates. If it is spotted tonight in your location, then your dates are going to be, as I understand it, tonight would be Yom Teruah going into tomorrow, so the 8th will be Yom Teruah, the 17th will be the Day of Atonement, and the 22nd and 29th will be your Feast of Tabernacles. So it'll be different if you happen to see the new moon in your area, or others in your area happen to see the new moon. And I understand that's important for a lot of people, so I'll keep collecting reports here. And I think we're just going to go ahead while we're collecting reports, rather than operating like the Weather Channel and keep telling you the same thing over and over again. I think I'll just go ahead and go over these 7th month scriptures. But this is the story right now. There are no new moon reports, no sightings anywhere across the globe. No one has seen the new moon anywhere as of this moment, as far as any reports that we are able to collect here in Steelville. So that's the story. We had another person from Leander, Texas, said that there are a few contrails, but nothing sighted in Leander, Texas. And then Danbury, North Carolina, Rock Springs, Georgia, Tampa, Florida, Hampton, Virginia, no sightings in those locations. So we don't have anything to report as far as a new moon. Okay, and so just taking one more gander here, and then we're going to go into our study portion, and then we'll I'll update you after the study portion today. I will go ahead and update you as far as any other sightings. Somebody asked a question, can we cook on this feast day? Yes, as I understand we can. It is a Sabbath. And in Exodus chapter 12, he says, on a day in which servile work is forbidden, he says, only that which you may eat, that only may be prepared by you. So an exception is made for food preparations. And so on a normal Sabbath, we would not cook. But on the feast day Sabbath, he made an exception there so we can feast. And so if you're wanting the exact scripture, that would be in verse 16. It says, the first day and the seventh day will be holy convocation. No manner of work is done on them, but that which everyone must eat, that only may be prepared by you. And so since this is a day when Melachah, or the servile work, is forbidden, and yet we see that cooking is permissible, then we would not classify cooking as Melachah type of labor. So that's how I understand. And so by principle, we see other days when Melachah is forbidden, cooking is permissible. And so if this is another day in which Melachah is forbidden, then we would say cooking is permissible for that reason. And so that's how I'd understand that. Somebody says, can beginning of years and months be different, like beginning of weeks are different from months? I'm not really sure what you mean by that question. Not really sure. So I don't know. Years and months be different. I mean, certainly our, let's say that we did not see the new moon here. We did not see it. But someone down in Mexico saw the new moon. Then that would essentially be like an international dateline as far as months are concerned. And so they would be able to observe Yom Teruah at their time that they witnessed the new moon. Because if I see the new moon in the sky and Yahweh says this is when you start the new month, I'm not going to pretend like it wasn't there. I mean, if I see it, then that's all I need. And so that's, as I understand it, that's what he wants us to do. So if we see the new moon, I'm not going to wait for somebody else. I'm going to say, oh, hallelujah. Get out the trumpet and praise Yahweh. So anyway, so that's the story at this moment, and I'm going to check one more place before we get started. And don't normally take questions at this time, but I know everybody is, a lot of you are new to this, and I want to respect that. So, all right. Okay, so nothing in Titusville, Florida. Nothing in Johnson City, Tennessee. Or maybe Knoxville. Okay, so nothing in Oklahoma City. Nothing in Nebraska. A lot of folks experiencing that haze. Might be from the wildfires out west. But, okay, so everyone's saying clear sound and video. Don't know if that's still the case. Hopefully it is. And I should go ahead and open this up too. And for those of you just joining us, I am currently on location near Steelville, Missouri, And we did look for the new moon here in Steelville, and we're not able to find anything. There was a cloud bank there along the horizon that was pretty thick, and so we were not able to see anything here. And so as of this moment, there are no confirmed sightings anywhere in the world. So nothing to report as of this exact moment. So we are going to go ahead and begin our study portion as we examine the scriptures that contain events that took place in the 7th month. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward for that. And here we go. And if you're looking for the new moon, this is pretty much what you're looking for. It's not quite so wide and scrunched. But 7th month of Yahweh's calendar. This is the not tonight, as far as I can tell. It's not tonight. But we are going to look at this, so for tomorrow night you'll have something to reference. So we're looking at the 7th month events, and if you are looking for the new moon, this is the current visibility chart. You'd have to have perfect atmospheric conditions to see it in that somewhat lighter green, the shaded area between the B and the A. If it's in a darker green, then you should be able to see the new moon without using any kind of binoculars or anything. So, and then, okay, so our first scripture is coming from the book of 1 Kings in chapter 8, verse 1. It says, "Now Solomon assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes and the chief fathers of the children of Israel to King Solomon in Jerusalem, that they might bring up the ark of the covenant of Yahweh from the city of David, which is Zion. Therefore all the men of Israel assembled with King Solomon at the feast in the month of Atonements, which is the 7th month. Month of Atonements, which is the 7th month." So, just checking something here. The word translated Atonements comes from the Hebrew word Atonim, meaning enduring. It's plural of number 386, as you see there. And so we look at 386, Athon, meaning perpetual or constant or perennial or overflowing. And so our goal is to be enduring, right? And those who endure will be able to enjoy the Yom Teruah, and we will be blessed by Yahshua's presence at that last trump. As Yahshua did say, "You'll be hated by all for my name's sake, but he who endures to the end, Atonements, will be saved." Hallelujah. So the 7th month is a month we're looking for as a sign of Yahshua the Messiah's return. And it marks the memorial of trumpets, which is not tonight, as far as I can tell, for you just tuning in. We don't believe that tonight is Yom Teruah as of now. That can change in the next 45 minutes, but I don't believe it is as of yet. So the Leviticus chapter 23, verse 24 says, "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, you shall have a Sabbath rest, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. You shall do no customary work on it, and you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh." And so this is a month in which we have this Yom Teruah, this first day of the 7th month, will be a time of blowing the trumpets. And actually I have a shofar around here somewhere. Here it is. And I was ready, you know. to blow this thing, but I guess it's not going to be tonight. It doesn't look like it's going to be tonight as of right now. But basically, there are two things that the word Teruah means. Trumpet blast also means shout. Okay, so when Yahshua returns, there's going to be a trumpet blast, and I think we're going to be one shouting because we're excited that our Savior has finally, he's going to come and straighten this mess out that man has made of himself. So anyway, and other things that take place during the 7th month, biblically speaking, obviously will be the other feasts. Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, also the 10th day of the 7th month shall be the Day of Atonement. It shall be a holy convocation for you. You shall afflict your souls, an offering made by fire to Yahweh. And you shall do no work on that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make atonement for you before Yahweh your Elohim. Okay, and so this day is going to be either on the 17th or the 18th. As of right now, it's looking like the 18th, but we will have to see. We're not sure. Okay, so the next feast, he says, well, for any person who is not afflicted in soul on that same day shall be cut off from his people. Any person who does any work on that same day, that person I will destroy from among his people. You shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings. It shall be to you a Sabbath of solemn rest, and you shall afflict your souls. On the 9th day of the month, at evening, of evening to evening, you shall celebrate your Sabbath. Then Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of the 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days to Yahweh. On the first day there shall be a holy convocation. You shall do no customary work on it. For 7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh, for on the 8th day you shall have a holy convocation. And you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh. It is a sacred assembly, and you shall do no customary work on it. No melachot. So these are days in which customary work is forbidden, and these days are going to be the 22nd and 29th, or the 23rd and the 30th. Right now it's looking like 23rd and 30th. I have not received any confirmed sightings with multiple witnesses for a new moon to be seen tonight. So that would mean 23rd and 30th. But we'll wait here till the end of the broadcast, certainly, and make sure there's time for everybody to send their reports in. So these are the feasts of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh, a burnt offering and a grain offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, everything on its day. Besides the Sabbaths of Yahweh, besides your gifts, besides all your vows, and besides all your freewill offerings which you give to Yahweh. And then also on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you've gathered the fruit of the land, you shall keep the feast of Yahweh 7 days. The first day shall be a Sabbath rest. On the 8th day of Sabbath rest, you shall take for yourselves the first day of beautiful trees, fruit of beautiful trees, branches of palm trees, boughs of leafy trees, willows of the brook. You shall rejoice before Yahweh your Elohim for 7 days. You shall keep it as a feast to Yahweh for 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. You shall celebrate it in the 7th month. You shall dwell in booths for 7 days. All who are native Israelites shall dwell in booths. That your generations may know I made the children of Israel dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh, your mighty one. All right. One moment. All right, so moving along here. In Genesis chapter 8, it says, Elohim remembered Noah and on every living thing, all the animals that were with him in the ark. And Elohim made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. The fountains of the deep and the windows of heaven were also stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained. And the waters receded continually from the earth. At the end of the 150 days, the waters decreased. Then the ark rested in the 7th month the 17th day of the month on the mountains of Ararat. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. So it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. All right, so this is in the 7th month, the 17th day of the month, which is going to be the second day of the, the third day of the Feast of Tabernacles. Because the first day is on the 15th, second day is on the 16th, third day is on the 17th. So, interesting that the feast, the third day of the feast is when this ark rested. And so he endured, right? He endured till the 7th month, and finally the ark hits land. And he who is enduring to the end will also be saved. By water. Through what? Through baptism. Even as Noah was saved through water, he was underneath the surface of the water, being in the boat in the ark. We also were underneath the surface of the water when we got baptized. In Hebraic thought, the sea is considered synonymous with Sheol, meaning the grave. And so we were buried with him in baptism, and we were saved through water, even as Noah was saved and was allowed to remain in spite of the waters. All right, so we read earlier 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 1. Now it says, Now Solomon assembled the elders of Israel, all the heads of the tribes, the chief fathers of the children of Israel, to King Solomon in Jerusalem, that they might bring up the ark of the covenant of Yahweh from the city of David, which is Sion. Therefore all the men of Israel assembled with King Solomon to feast in the month of Atonements, which is the 7th month. So all the elders of Israel came, the priests, and the priests took up the ark. Then they brought up the ark of Yahweh, the tabernacle of meeting, and all the holy furnishings that were in the tabernacle. The priests and the Levites brought them up. Also King Solomon and all the congregation of Israel, who were assembled with him, were with him before the ark, sacrificing sheep and oxen that could not be counted or numbered for a multitude. Then the priests brought in the ark of the covenant of Yahweh to its place, into the inner sanctuary of the temple, to the most holy place under the wings of the cherubim. For the cherubim spread their two wings over the place of the ark, and the cherubim overshadowed the ark and its poles. The poles extended so that the ends of the poles could be seen from the holy place in front of the inner sanctuary, but they could not be seen from outside. And they are there to this day. Nothing was in the ark except the 2 tablets of stone, which Moshe put there at Horeb, when Yahweh made a covenant with the children of Israel when they came out of the land of Egypt. And it came to pass, when the priests came out of the holy place, that the cloud filled the house of Yahweh, so the priests could not continue ministering because of the cloud. For the glory of Yahweh filled the house of Yahweh. Then Solomon spoke. Yahweh said he would dwell in the dark cloud. I have surely built you an exalted house, and a place for you to dwell forever. The king turned around and blessed the whole assembly of Israel, while all the assembly of Israel was standing. And he said, Blessed be Yahweh Elohim of Israel, who spoke with his mouth to my father David, and with his hand has fulfilled it, saying, Since the day that I brought my people Israel out of Egypt, I have chosen no city from any tribe in Israel in which to build a house, that my name might be there, but I chose David to be over my people, Israel. Now it was in the heart of my father David to build a temple for the name of Yahweh Elohim of Israel. But Yahweh said to my father David, Whereas it was in your heart to build a temple for my name, you did well, and that it was in your heart. Nevertheless, you shall not build a temple, but your son who will come from your body, he shall build the temple for my name. So Yahweh has fulfilled his word, which he spoke. And I have filled the position of my father David and sit upon the throne of Israel as Yahweh promised, and I have built a temple for the name of Yahweh Elohim of Israel. And there I have made a place for the ark, in which is the covenant of Yahweh which he made with our fathers when he brought them out of the land of Egypt. Then Solomon stood before the altar of Yahweh in the presence of all the assembly of Israel, and spread out his hands toward heaven, and he said, Yahweh Elohim of Yisrael, there is no Elohim in heaven above or on earth below like you, who keep your covenant and mercy with your servants who walk before you with all their hearts. You have kept what you promised your servant David my father. You have both spoken with your mouth and fulfilled it with your hand, as it is this day. Therefore, Yahweh Elohim of Israel, now keep what you promised your servant David my father, saying, You shall not fail to have a man sit before me on the throne of Israel, only if your sons take heed to their way, that they walk before me as you have walked before me. And now I pray, O Elohim of Israel, that your word come true, which you have spoken to your servant David my father. But will Elohim indeed dwell on the earth? Behold, heaven and the heaven of heavens cannot contain you, how much less this temple which I have built. Yet regard the prayer of your servant David, and his supplication, O Yahweh my Elohim, and listen to the cry and the prayer which your servant is praying before you today, that your eyes may be open toward this temple day and night, or night and day, toward the place of which you said, My name shall be there, that you may hear the prayer which your servant makes toward this place. And may you hear the supplication of your servant and of your people Israel, when they pray toward this place. Hear in heaven your dwelling place, and when you hear, forgive. When anyone sins against his neighbor and is forced to take an oath, and comes and takes an oath before your altar in this temple, then hear in heaven and act, and judge your servants, condemning the wicked, bringing his way on his head, and justifying the righteous by giving him according to his righteousness. When your people Israel are defeated before an enemy because they sinned against you, and when they turn back to you and confess your name and pray and make supplication to you in this temple, then hear in heaven and forgive the sin of your people Israel, and bring them back to the land which you gave to their fathers. When the heavens are shut up and there's no rain because they've sinned against you, when they pray toward this place and confess your name and turn from their sin because you afflict them, then hear in heaven and forgive the sin of your servants, your people Israel, that you may teach them the good way in which they should walk, and send rain on your land, which you have given to your people as an inheritance. When there is famine in the land, pestilence, that's what's going on now, or blight or mildew, locusts or grasshoppers, when their enemy besieges them in the land of their cities, whatever plague or whatever sickness there is, whatever prayer, whatever supplication is made by anyone, or by all your people Israel, when each one knows the plague of his own heart. Boy, isn't that true? And spreads out his hands toward this temple. Then hear in heaven your dwelling place, and forgive, and act, and give to every one according to all his ways, whose heart you know, for you alone know the hearts of all the sons of men, that they may fear you all the days that they live in the land which you gave to our fathers. Moreover, concerning a foreigner who is not of your people Israel, but has come from a far country for your name's sake, for they will hear of your great name and your strong hand, your outstretched arm. When he comes and prays toward this temple, hear in heaven your dwelling place, and do according to all for which the foreigner calls to you, that all the peoples of the earth may know your name and fear you, as do your people Israel, and that they may know that this temple which I have built is called by your name. They pray to They pray to Yahweh toward the temple, toward the city which you have chosen, and the temple which I have built for your name, and hear in heaven their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause when they sin against you, for there is no one who does not sin. And you become angry with them and deliver them to the enemy, and they take them captive to the land of the enemy, far or near. Yet when they come to themselves in the land which they are carried captive, so and repent and make supplication to you in the land of those who took them captive, saying, we have sinned and done wrong, we have committed wickedness. And when they return to you with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their enemies who led them away captive, and pray to you toward their land, which you gave to their fathers, a city which you have chosen, and a temple which I have built for your name, then hear in heaven your dwelling place their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause, and forgive your people who have sinned against you, and all their transgressions which they have transgressed against you, and grant them compassion before those who took them captive, that they may have compassion on them. For they are your people and your inheritance, whom you brought out of Egypt, out of the iron furnace. That your eyes may be opened to the supplication of your servant, and the supplication of your people Israel, to listen to them whenever they call to you. For you separated them from among all the peoples of the earth to be your inheritance, as you spoke by your servant Moshe, when you brought our fathers out of Egypt, O Master Yahweh. And so it was, when Solomon had finished praying all this prayer and supplication to Yahweh, that he arose from before the altar of Yahweh, from kneeling on his knees, and with his hands spread toward heaven. And he stood and blessed all the assembly of Israel with a loud voice, saying, Blessed be Yahweh, who has given rest to his people Israel, according to all he promised. There has not failed one word of all his good promise, which he promised through his servant Moshe. May Yahweh our Elohim be with us. May he not leave us nor forsake us, that he may incline our hearts to himself, to walk in all his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, which he commanded our fathers. And may these words of mine, with which I have made supplication before Yahweh, be near Yahweh our Elohim day and night, that he may maintain the cause of his servant and the cause of his people Israel, as each day may require, that all the peoples of the earth may know that Yahweh is Elohim. There is no other. Let your heart therefore be loyal to Yahweh our Elohim, to walk in his statutes and keep his commandments as at this day. Then the king of all Israel with him offered sacrifices before Yahweh, and Solomon offered a sacrifice of peace offerings, which he offered to Yahweh 22,000 bulls and 120,000 sheep. So the king and all the children of Israel dedicated the house of Yahweh. On the same day, the king consecrated the middle of the court that was in front of the house of Yahweh, for there he offered burnt offerings, grain offerings, and the fat of the peace offerings, because the bronze altar that was before Yahweh was too small to receive the burnt offerings, the grain offerings, and the fat of the peace offerings. At that time Solomon held a feast, and all Israel with him, a great assembly from the entrance of Hamath to the brook of Egypt, before Yahweh our Elohim 7 days and 7 more days. 14 days. On the 8th day he sent the people away, and they blessed the king, and went to their tents joyful and glad of heart, for all the good that Yahweh had done for his servant David, and for his people, for Israel his people. In chapter 9. And it came to pass, when Solomon had finished building the house of Yahweh and the king's house, and all Solomon's desire which he wanted to do, that Yahweh appeared to Solomon the second time, as he had appeared to him at Gibeon. And Yahweh said to him, I have heard your prayer and your supplication that you have made before me. I have consecrated this house which you built to put my name there forever, and my eyes and my heart will be there perpetually. Now, if you walk before me as your father David walked, in integrity of heart and in uprightness, to do according to all I have commanded you, and if you keep my statutes and my judgments, then I will establish the throne of your kingdom over Israel forever, as I promised David your father, saying, you shall not fail to have a man on the throne of Israel. But if you or your sons at all turn from following me, and do not keep my commandments and my statutes which I have set before you, but go and serve other gods and worship them, then I will cut off Israel from the land which I have given them, and this house which I have consecrated for my name I will cast out of my sight. Israel will be a proverb and a byword among all the peoples. Now you can read also about these same events in 2 Chronicles chapter 5 and chapter 6. But we're going to just skip forward here into chapter 7, where Yahweh answers a more fully answer to Solomon's prayer. Now I want to mention, if you're just tuning in, we did not see the new moon here in Steelville, Missouri. So we are kind of waiting on some new moon reports. And I did get one. So stay tuned. And I'll share that as soon as I'm done with the study portion here. Okay, so into chapter 7. This is a pretty important chapter for us, I think, especially being that we are in the midst of a pestilence here in our land, right? 2 Chronicles 7:1 says, when Solomon had finished praying, fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory of Yahweh filled the temple. And the priests could not enter the house of Yahweh, because the glory of Yahweh had filled Yahweh's house. When all the children of Israel saw how the fire came down, and the glory of Yahweh on the temple, they bowed their faces to the ground and on the pavement and worshipped and praised Yahweh, saying, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever. Then the king and all the people offered sacrifices before Yahweh. King Solomon offered a sacrifice of 22,000 bulls and 120,000 sheep. So the king and all the people dedicated the house of Elohim. At that time Solomon kept the feast 7 days, and all Israel with him, a very great assembly from the entrance of Hamath to the brook of Egypt. And on the 8th day they held a sacred assembly, for they observed the dedication of the altar 7 days, and the feast 7 days. On the 23rd day of the 7th month he sent the people away to their tents, joyful and glad of heart for the good that Yahweh had done for David, for Solomon, and for his people Israel. Thus Solomon finished the house of Yahweh and the king's house, and Solomon successfully accomplished all that came into his heart to make in the house of Yahweh in his own house. Then Yahweh appeared to Solomon by night and said to him, I have heard your prayer and chosen this place for myself as a house of sacrifice. When I shut up heaven and there is no rain, or command the locusts to devour the land, or send pestilence among my people, and that's what we're dealing with. And my people, who are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to prayer made in this place, for now I have chosen and sanctified this house, that my name may be there forever, and my eyes and my heart will be there perpetually. As for you, if you walk before me as your father David walked, and do according to all that I have commanded you, and if you keep my statutes and my judgments, then I will establish the throne of your kingdom, as I covenanted with David your father, saying, you shall not fail to have a man as a ruler in Israel. Again, he says, if you turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments, which I set before you, and go serve other gods and worship them, I will uproot them from my land which I have given them, and this house which I have sanctified for my name will be cast out of my sight, and will make it a proverb and a byword among all peoples. And as for this house which is exalted, everyone who passes by it will be astonished and say, why has Yahweh done thus to his land and his house and this house? Then they will answer, because they forsook Yahweh, Elohim of their fathers, who brought them out of the land of Egypt, and embraced other gods, and worshipped them, and served them. Therefore he has brought all this calamity on them. So, that is a pretty important 7th month event there, the dedication of the house of Yahweh and the promise of forgiveness of sin if we pray to Yahweh. And Solomon said, toward this place. So I do find benefit actually in more intense prayer. Pray toward Jerusalem. Pray toward Jerusalem. And that's the place where Yahshua's going to reign there for 1,000 years. It's a place where he has put his name. So there's something to be said for praying toward Jerusalem. And so those of you joining us, we are going over 7th month events. It's not the 7th month here in my location, as far as I know. But we're going to check the reports here as soon as I'm done going over these scriptures. All right. So 2 Kings chapter 25, verse 25, another 7th month. It says, it happened in the 7th month that Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, the son of Elishma, of the royal family, came with 10 men and struck and killed Gedaliah, the Jews, as well as the Chaldeans who were with him at Mizpah. And all the people, small and great, and the captains of armies, rose and went to Egypt, for they were afraid of the Chaldeans. Also, 2 Chronicles 31, this is just after their Passover celebration. It says, when this all was finished, all Israel who was present went out to the cities of Judah and broke the sacred pillars in pieces, cut down the wooden images, and threw down the high places and the altars from all Judah, Benjamin, Ephraim, and Manasseh, until they utterly destroyed them all. Then all the children of Israel returned to their own cities, every man to his possession. Hezekiah appointed the divisions of the priests and the Levites according to their divisions, each man according to his service, the priests and the Levites for burnt offerings and peace offerings, to serve and give thanks and to praise in the gates of the camp of Yahweh. The king also appointed a portion of his possessions for burnt offerings, and for the morning and evening burnt offerings, the burnt offerings for the Sabbaths, new moons, and set feasts, as is written in the law of Yahweh. Moreover, he commanded the people who dwelt in Jerusalem to contribute support for the priests and the Levites, that they might devote themselves to the law of Yahweh. As soon as the commandment was circulated, the children of Israel brought in abundance the first fruits of grain, and wine, oil, and honey, and the produce of the field, and they brought in abundantly the tithe of everything. And the children of Israel and Judah, who dwelt in the cities of Judah, brought the tithe of oxen and sheep, and also the tithe of the holy things which are consecrated. To Yahweh their Elohim they laid in heaps. In the 3rd month they began laying them in heaps, and finished in the 7th month. And when Hezekiah and the leaders came and saw the heaps, they blessed Yahweh and his people Israel. So another 7th month event, the finishing of the collection of the offerings there. And then, Ezra chapter 3, verse 1. It says, when the 7th month had come, and the children of Israel were in the cities, the people gathered together as one man to Jerusalem. Then Yeshua the son of Yosadak and his brethren the priests, Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel and his brethren, arose and built the altar of the Elohim of Israel to offer burnt offerings on it, as it is written in the law of Moshe the man of Elohim. Though fear had come upon them because of the people of those countries, they set the altar on its basis, and they offered burnt offerings on it to Yahweh, both the morning and evening burnt offerings. They also kept the Feast of Tabernacles, as it is written, and offered the daily burnt offerings in the number required by ordinance for each day. Afterwards they offered the regular burnt offering in those for new moons, and for all the appointed feasts of Yahweh that were consecrated, and those of everyone who willingly offered a freewill offering to Yahweh. From the first day of the 7th month, they began to offer burnt offerings to Yahweh, although the foundation of the temple of Yahweh had not been laid. They also gave money to the masons and carpenters, and food, drink, oil, and the people of Sidon and Tyre to bring cedar logs from Lebanon to the sea to Joppa, according to the permission which they had from Cyrus, king of Persia. Also, in the book of Nehemiah, sorry about that, we're in a hotel room here, and there's trucking going by here. So, Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 1, now all the people gathered together as one man in the open square that was in the front of the water gate, and they told Ezra the scribe to bring the book of the law of Moshe, which Yahweh had commanded Israel. So Ezra the priest brought the law before the assembly of men and women, and all who could hear with understanding on the first day of the 7th month. Then he read from it in the open square that was in front of the water gate from morning until midday, before the men and women and those who could understand, and the ears of the people were attentive to the book of the law. So Ezra the scribe stood on a platform made of wood, which they had made for the purpose, and beside him at his right hand stood Mattithiah, Shema, Ananiah, Uriah, Hilkiah, and Maaseiah. At his left hand stood Pedaiah, Mishael, Malchiah, Hashum, Hashbaddanah, Zechariah, and Meshullam. And Ezra opened the book in the sight of all the people, for he was standing above all the people, and when he opened it, all the people stood up. I love that. And Ezra blessed Yahweh, the great Elohim. Then all the people answered, Amen, Amen, while lifting up their hands. And they bowed their heads and worshipped Yahweh with their faces to the ground. Also Yeshua, Bani, Sherebiah, Yamim, Achub, Shabbathai, Hodiah, Maaseiah, Kalita, Azariah, Yozabad, Hanan, Peliah, and the Levites helped the people to understand the law, and the people stood in their place. So they read distinctly from the book and the law of Elohim, and they gave the sense and helped them to understand the reading, the Mikra. And Nehemiah, who was the governor, Ezra the priest and scribe, and the Levites who taught the people, said to all the people, This day is holy to Yahweh your Elohim. Do not mourn nor weep. For all the people wept when they heard the words of the law. Then he said to them, Go your way, eat the fat, drink the sweet, and send portions to those for whom nothing is prepared. For this day is holy to our Yahweh. Do not sorrow, for the joy of Yahweh is your strength. So the Levites quieted all the people, saying, Be still, for the day is holy, do not be grieved. And all the people went their way to eat and drink and send portions and rejoiced greatly because they understood the words that were declared to them. Now on the second day, the heads of the fathers' houses of all the people with the priests and Levites were gathered to Ezra the scribe in order to understand the words of the law. And they found written in the law, which Yahweh commanded by Moshe, that the children of Israel should dwell in booths during the feast of the 7th month, and that they should announce and proclaim in all their cities and in Jerusalem, saying, Go out to the mountain, and bring olive branches, branches of oil trees, myrtle branches, palm branches, and branches of leafy trees, to make booths as it is written. Then the people went out and brought them, and made themselves booths, each one on the roof of his house, or in the courtyards, or the courts of the house of Elohim, and the open square of the water gate, and in the open square of the gate of Ephraim. So the whole assembly of those who had returned from the captivities made booths, and sat under the booths. For since the day of Yahshua the son of Nun, until that day, the children of Israel had not done so. And there was very great gladness. Also, day by day, from the first day to the last day, he read from the book of the law of Elohim. And they kept the feast 7 days, and on the 8th day there was a sacred assembly, according to the prescribed manner. Very good. So, that's what we want to do. You know, we want to be among those that, we read this in the scriptures, and we're going to keep the feast in the 7th month, and we're going to do just like they did, and observe these days, and regardless of anybody else, whether they do it or not. And so, now, in Jeremiah chapter 28, there's another event took place where a false prophet was told he was going to die. Jeremiah 28, verse 15. Then the prophet Jeremiah said to Hananiah, the prophet, Hear now, Hananiah, Yahweh has not sent you, but you make this people trust in a lie. Therefore thus says Yahweh, Behold, I will cast you from the face of the earth. This year you shall die, because you've taught rebellion against Yahweh. So Hananiah the prophet died the same year in the 7th month. Actually, if you read the context, you'll find that Hananiah opposed Jeremiah, had predicted that the yoke of Babylon would be broken in 2 years. You know, sometimes false prophets like to set dates. But anyway, Hananiah claimed that he was right, But Jeremiah predicted Hananiah would die, and he did, in the 7th month. So, didn't have to wait to find out, whether that prophet was false, right? And then, Haggai chapter 2, verse 1, there is a prophecy. It says, in the 7th month, on the 21st day of the month, the word of Yahweh came by Haggai the prophet, saying, Speak now to Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Yahshua son of Yosadak, the high priest, and to the remnant of the people, saying, Who was left among you who saw this temple in its former glory? And how do you see it now? In comparison with it, is it this not as in your eyes as nothing? Yet now be strong, Zerubbabel, says Yahweh, and be strong, Yahshua son of Yosadak, the high priest, and be strong, all you people of the land, thus says Yahweh, and work, for I am with you, says Yahweh of hosts, according to the word that I covenanted with you when you came out of Egypt, so my spirit remains among you. Do not fear. For thus says Yahweh of hosts once more, in a little while I will shake heaven and earth, the sea and dry land. I will shake all nations, and they shall come to the desire of all nations, and I will fill this temple with glory, says Yahweh of hosts. The silver of mine is mine, and the gold is mine, says Yahweh of hosts. The glory of this latter temple shall be greater than the former, says Yahweh of hosts. And in this place I will give peace, says Yahweh of hosts. And of course, we know that was fulfilled in Yahshua's day. Also, Zechariah chapter 8, verse 19 speaks of the different fasts. Fast of the 4th month, 5th, and 7th month. And fast of the 10th shall be joy and gladness and cheerful feast for the house of Judah. Therefore love truth and peace. Torah and Messiah, the Prince of Peace. And 7th month, of course, is going to be Yom Kippurim, or Day of Atonements. And then John chapter 7, close to being wrapping up here, but we're going to read John chapter 7 and one other chapter, or part of a chapter in Scripture, and then we're going to wrap up our broadcast tonight. And I will announce for you new moon sighting and where it was seen. So, John chapter 7 says, After these things Yahshua walked in Galilee, for he did not want to walk in Judea because the Jews sought to kill him. Now the Jews' Feast of Tabernacles was at hand. His brothers therefore said to him, Depart from here and go to Judea, that your disciples may also see the works that you are doing. For no one does anything in secret while he himself seeks to be known openly. If you do these things, show yourself to the world. For even his brothers did not believe in him. Then Yahshua said to them, My time has not yet come, but your time is always ready. The world cannot hate you, but it hates me because I testify of it that its works are evil. You go up to this feast. I am not yet going up to this feast, for my time has not yet fully come. When he said these things to them, he remained in Galilee. But when his brothers had gone up, then he also went up to the feast, not openly, but as it were, in secret. Then the Jews saw him at the feast and said, Where is he? And there was much complaining among the people concerning him. Some said he is good. Others said, No, on the contrary, he deceives the people. However, no one spoke openly of him for fear of the Jews. Now about the middle of the feast, Yahshua went up into the temple and taught. And the Jews marveled, saying, How does this man know letters, having never studied? Yahshua answered them and said, My doctrine is not mine, but his who sent me. If anyone wants to do his will, he shall know concerning the doctrine, whether it is from Elohim, or whether I speak on my own authority. He who speaks from himself seeks his own glory, but he who seeks the glory of the one who sent him is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. Did not Moshe give you the law, yet none of you keeps the law? Why do you seek to kill me? The people answered and said, You have a demon. Who is seeking to kill you? Yahshua answered and said to them, I did one work, and you all marvel. Moshe therefore gave you circumcision. Not that it is from Moshe, but from the fathers, and you circumcise a man on the Sabbath. If a man receives circumcision on the Sabbath, so that the law of Moshe should not be broken, are you angry with me because I made a man completely well on the Sabbath? Do not judge according to appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Now some of them from Jerusalem said, Is this not he whom they seek to kill? But look, he speaks boldly, and they say nothing to him. Do the rulers know indeed that this is truly the Messiah? However, we know where this man is from, but when the Messiah comes, no one knows where he is from. Then Yahshua cried out as he taught in the temple, saying, You both know me, and you know where I am from, and I have not come of myself, but he who sent me is true, whom you do not know. But I know him, for I am from him, and he sent me. Therefore they sought to take him. But no one laid a hand on him, because his hour had not yet come. And many of the people believed in him, and said, When the Messiah comes, will he do more signs than these which this man has done? The Pharisees heard the crowd murmuring these things concerning him, and the Pharisees and chief priests sent officers to take him. Then Yahshua said to them, I shall be with you a little while longer, and then I go to him who sent me. You will seek me and not find me. And where I am, you cannot come. Then the Jews said among themselves, Where does he intend to go? That we shall not find him. Does he intend to go to dispersion among the Greeks and teach the Greeks? What is this thing that he said? You will seek me and not find me, and where I am, you cannot come. On the last day, that great day of the feast, Yahshua stood and cried out, saying, If anyone thirsts, let him come to me and drink. He who believes in me, as the scripture has said, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. But this he spoke concerning the Spirit, whom those believing in him would receive, for the Holy Spirit was not yet given, because Yahshua was not yet glorified. Therefore many from the crowd, when they heard this saying, said, Truly this is the prophet. Others said, This is the Messiah. But some said, Will the Messiah come out of Galilee? Has not the scripture said Messiah comes from the seed of David and from the town of Bethlehem, where David was? So there was division among the people because of him. Now some of them wanted to take him, but no one laid hands on him. Then the officers came to the chief priests and Pharisees, who said to them, Why have you not brought him? The officers answered, No man ever spoke like this man. I love that. Then the Pharisees answered them, Are you also deceived? Have any of the rulers or Pharisees believed in him? But this crowd that does not know the law is accursed. Nicodemus, he who came to Yahshua by night, being one of them, said to them, Does our law judge a man before it hears him, and knows what he is doing? They answered and said to him, Are you also from Galilee? Search and look, for no prophet has arisen out of Galilee. Of course, all they had to do was ask him where he was born. But now, what's next here is the story of the woman caught in adultery. And it's questionable whether or not this story actually is true, because it's not found in the most ancient copies of the book of John. Nothing earlier than the 5th century, actually. Now, the story may actually be a true event, but it's not from the book of John. And it's any of the original, I should say, any of the earlier manuscripts. So, and we're talking at John 7:53 until John chapter 8, verse 11. Now we come to a scripture I like quite a lot, actually, in Zechariah chapter 14. It says, It shall come to pass that everyone who is left of all the nations which came up against Jerusalem shall go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And it shall be that whichever of the families of the earth do not come up to Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, on them there will be no rain. If the family of Egypt will not come up and enter in, they shall have no rain. They shall receive the plague with which Yahweh strikes the nations who do not come up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all the nations that do not come up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So one day it's going to happen that everyone will be keeping the Feast of Tabernacles, and we know that because Scripture says it will happen. I was talking to a lady today at the Welcome Center in here in Cuba, and told her about the feasts, and she was interested. She said, "You never hear this stuff in church," and so I shared with her a website, and she's going to put it on the Cuba tourism Facebook page about the Feast of Tabernacles we're hosting here in Steelville, just south of here, 15 minutes or so. And so, anyway, I told her, I say, hey, this must be a new covenant observance, because Yahshua, the Messiah, is not going to come back and institute the old covenant. He's going to institute the new covenant. So, yes, praise Yahweh. All right, so I'm going to go over the new moon reports, and in just a minute, we're going to share some music here from the library. And I think there will be some folks who listening to us the program today that should be perhaps celebrating Yom Teruah tonight, and others may not. But I'm going to share with you my findings here at the conclusion of, as soon as I share a song or two from the library. I'm going to do some research and share with you the findings, and excited to announce it. So anyway, here we are with Brother James Block.
Those who trust in Yahweh are like Mount Zion. Those who trust in Yahweh are like Mount Zion. They cannot be moved. They cannot be moved. They cannot be moved. They cannot be moved. From this time and forever, as long as the moon keeps time, you stand before me, the apple of my eye. You will not be moved. You will not be moved. You will not be moved. You will not be enfolds us, so Yahweh indwells us. We cannot be moved. We cannot be moved. We cannot be moved. We will not be praise to Yahweh, who lives forever. He cannot be moved. He cannot be moved. He cannot be moved. Those who trust in Yahweh are like Mount Zion. Those who trust in Yahweh are like Mount Zion. Trust in Yahweh. Trust in Yahweh. In Yahweh. Trust in Yahweh.
Heavens declare the majesty of my King, and the firmament shows His handiwork. There is no speech, no language where their voice isn't heard. The line goes throughout the earth. The law of Yahweh is perfect, converting the soul, and His statutes and judgments are right. The fear of my King is great, enduring forever. He is more desirable than gold. Who can understand why we fall? Cleanse thou me from secret faults. Keep back thy servant from all sin. Let them not have dominion over me. I don't wanna be bound by this flesh, these chains on me. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable. It's the law of Yahweh is perfect, converting the soul, and His statutes and judgments are right. The fear of my King is great, enduring forever. He is more desirable than gold. Bum, 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 bum. Do-do-do-do-do-do. La, 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 la. The law of Yahweh is perfect, converting the soul, and His statutes and judgments are right. The fear of my King is clean, enduring forever. Even more desirable than gold. My King, you are more desirable than gold.
All right, blessed be the name of Yahweh. And well, I went ahead and did some more sleuthing on that report and found out some pretty interesting information. I received a report that Jerry Heelan of Atlanta, Texas, had seen the new moon with one other brother. However, they had to use binoculars in order to find the new moon. And then once they used the binoculars to find the new moon, then they were able to see it with the naked eye. To me, that would not be a valid sighting. Other people may find that to be valid. I think other ministries may find that to be valid, but I don't find that to be valid. They did not have binoculars in Yeshua's day, or really any time until maybe whenever binoculars were invented. So I would not accept that as a valid sighting. Now, if you all feel that's valid, then that's entirely your choice. But that is the only sighting that I can find, other than one in Panama, but I'm not even sure of the veracity of that report either. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know how reliable that Panama report is. But again, that's in Panama. I don't do that. I go by local sightings. So I don't have any other reports at this moment. And so I can tell you it was looked for in McAllen, Texas. They were able to see the stars. They were not able to see the moon. It was not seen in Leander, Texas, and Wellsville, Tennessee. There were a few clouds in Danbury, too cloudy in Fulton, of course, here, and where we are located in Missouri. We couldn't see it here. There's a cloud bank along the horizon there. Was not seen in Avon, Missouri. Was not seen in Box Springs, Georgia. They had partly cloudy skies there, and not seen in Tampa, Florida, where they had cloudy skies. So other places where it was looked for. Let me see if I can find any others. And I'm also going to check my own. If you happen to see it in your locale, please do send a report just above the left-hand side of the video screen there to inform us that you have seen the new moon in your location. Okay, so if it is not seen tonight in your area, then the festival dates again will be September the 9th, of course, starting the sundown the evening before, September the 9th, for Yom Teruah, and then the 18th for the Yom Kippurim, or Day of Atonement, and then the 23rd, and the 30th for the first and last days of the Day of Atonement. Now, if you're willing to accept binoculars, discovery of the new moon, and then visible after that with the naked eye, then you can go a day earlier. And that's only in Atlanta, Texas, which is, Atlanta, Texas is about where Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas all meet. Really close to that tri-state area. Okay, and it's due east of Dallas, Texas, almost on the border of East Texas. And so I don't find that to be an acceptable report in my estimation, and so that's not something I would want to go with myself. So at this point, in the absence of any other reports, I'm going to go ahead and say that our festival dates are going to be the later dates I just described to you, and so we are anticipating the tomorrow night will begin Yom Teruah, and then the 18th would be Yom Kippurim, and then the 23rd and the 30th for the first day of Feast of Tabernacles, and the last great day. So that is our report as of now, and we are now, it's almost a couple hours past sundown, and I think we've done a pretty good job of trying to locate any confirmed sightings and not really finding anything other than one that was discovered with a pair of binoculars. So let me go ahead and check one other place here. I know the folks in on the West Coast, you can go ahead and check there. I don't have anything on the West Coast, but the far south part of the West Coast, far southern California, into Mexico and such, you're more likely to see it there than we are here. And so keep that in mind. And looking at our chat rooms, nothing confirmed. And we had a brother looking in Phoenix, Texas. They were not Phoenix, Arizona. I'm sorry. They were not able to see it there. All right. Praise Yahweh for reports. And you know, if there wasn't for internet, we look at that cloud bank and say, well, I guess Yom Teruah is tomorrow night. And you know, check locally around here. So, but you know, when Yahshua returns, it's all going to be in Jerusalem. So we're going to look at Jerusalem at that point. But until that, if I see a new moon above my head, I'm not going to pretend like I didn't see it. I'm going to rejoice in it. But we did not see it this evening. So again, one last time, feast dates are the latter dates: the 9th, the 18th, the 23rd, and the 30th. Clear skies in Artesia, New Mexico. No sighting. I should probably, and so I'm going to check my email account. I hate to sign off and then, oh, I got this sighting, because we don't want to miss anything. So I'm going to check my email here if I can get access to my home computer. It's kind of taking a minute. All right. One more. Nothing. San Diego is pretty far south, brothers and sisters. That's and pretty far west. And if they were, right? Especially San Diego. But all right. So the days I'm taking off work are those feast dates, and that's when we're going to close our coffee shop, and nothing's going to happen at our theater or our thrift store. And so we're not going to plan any broadcasts. Tabernacles, actually, Feast of Tabernacles, obviously we're going to do live broadcasting from there. And also on Yom Teruah's call broadcast, where we take everyone can basically come together, and we're going to pray to Yahweh together as a group. Trouble spots in the body of the Messiah. So we're going to go over those trouble spots, and hopefully go before Yahweh and together in a conference call kind of a setting, and repent to Him of anything corporately. All right, look like we're losing a little bit of signal here. Okay, I had a little problem with my internet connection, but we are back. So, all right, so we're going to go ahead and sign off. Even San Diego, California, apparently was not able to see the new moon there. And if they didn't see it, then who will? Maybe Hawaii. You live in Hawaii, perhaps you might see the new moon. But that's quite west, and nothing here. Okay, so one final once through, nothing on my email account, and no reports through our comments forum, and nothing through Brother Richard, who's got his own little network going there. Nothing from other sites that I check for new moon sightings, and so there are some who may choose to accept the two witnesses that saw the new moon with a pair of binoculars and then were able to make it out with a naked eye, but that's not a report I'm willing to accept. And that was in Atlanta, Texas. So for us, for me and my house, I'm going to be observing Yom Teruah on not tonight, but tomorrow night. All right, praise Yahweh. Yahweh's will be done in all matters. Thank you for hanging on, and a couple of internet burps there. We were able to survive, but here we are in this hotel room in Cuba, Missouri, and we did look for the new moon and found nothing. So tomorrow night, I won't be tuning in, won't be having a broadcast, but try to look for it. Look for it anyway. It's good to do that, and then blow a shofar and praise His name. So, and so until this coming Shabbat, we'll have another broadcast. This coming Shabbat, Yahweh willing, and then the broadcast the next Shabbat will be on location in Steelville, Missouri, Yahweh willing. And that's going to be on Yom Kippur. So, okay. Shabbat Shalom. I'm so used to saying that. It's going to say Shalom to you all. And for those of you observing tonight, Yahweh's will be done in all matters. And for tomorrow night, I'll say an early Shabbat Shalom to all of you observing tomorrow night. And make sure if you don't have a shofar, then shout. If you do have a shofar, use a shofar and give praise to Yahweh for His goodness and His mercy and His loving kindness toward us. Wouldn't it be awesome if something major took place, something prophetic took place tomorrow evening? And because look up, for your redemption draws nigh, right? Praise Yahweh. All right, until next time, shalom, shalom to your homes.